just about a moment ago. But I love rain. For some reason, I love rain, and whenever it's raining. But for the fact that I was waiting to do this, I would have been outside there watching the rain.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, if it is raining, I must be outside
Okay.
watching the rain.
With a cup of
I
tea, coffee, cocoa.
Oh, I am not that bourgeois. I am not that bourgeois. No, just standing there because it it sends me back to my boyhood,
Right.
where we used to play soccer in the mud when it was raining. And is for some reason I've never outgrown that excitement and that pure joy of childhood. We played naked, so you can see how many bells were ringing as we ran around the place.
Oh my god.
If somebody has told me then that I would one day be known as Uncle Bo, I would not have believed it. It wouldn't have made sense.
See what
What?
the Lord has done. Uncle, what are we talking about today?
After my confessions, well, I'm going to talk about. Well, let me just go into it. Maybe I attended the Sason Treso LA Middle School from 1966 to 1969. And in my time, the school was blessed with a crop of exceptional talents, athletes and footballers. Among these outstanding talents was my classmate, who, for the purposes of this presentation, I shall refer to only as Ojam. Ojam played in the center forward position and he averaged 2 goals per game. He was fast, he was strong, he could dribble, he could jump, and he could shoot. It is interesting that of all the talents in my time at South LA, only Ojam took his talents beyond school. He registered for Kumasi Cornerstones. I happened to run into him at South Treso on one of my trips to Kumasi. And we got into talking, and he told me a most fascinating story. He said a man once approached him after a match and said, "Young man, I have been watching you play. I believe you have what it takes to become one of the greatest players Ghana has ever seen, and I want to help you get there." The stranger then gave Ojam a talisman and said, "Before every match, declare how many goals you want to score in the match on this talisman, and then put it in your boots. Just make sure that you do not fall down in the match." Ojam was grateful. He took the talisman and started using it. He said, "James, the thing worked. Whatever number of goals I wanted to score, once I declared it on this talisman, I will score those goals." Then he said, "But if I fall in a match, I will fall ill and miss at least 3 matches." Then he looked at me and said, "James, I am a center forward. How can any center forward known for scoring a lot of goals go through a match and not be pushed down or kicked down by the opposing defense?" He said, "At the end of the season, I was a top scorer for my team, but I had played only a third of the matches, and I was beginning to fear for my health because the suffering that came with taking a fall in a game was alarming. I always felt I was going to die." After reviewing what the talisman had brought him, Ojam concluded that if he continued using the talisman, he would be of limited use to any team. Plus, he risked losing his life. And so he threw the talisman away and decided to just depend on hard work in training and in a match for his effectiveness. There are 2 kinds of realities in Ghana. There is a physical reality that we all see around us, but there's also the spiritual reality that is also all around us, but not everyone sees. And most are so uncomfortable with that kind of reality that they simply deny its existence. But it doesn't make any difference whether you say you believe it you believe it is real or not. The truth is that that reality does not need your belief or permission to exist and operate. Unfortunately for us in Ghana, the spiritual powers we use are the wicked ones, the ones that can only destroy or kill or keep us down. These are the ones the Bible refers to as the spiritual powers of darkness. They guarantee results, but they also always demand a price, a huge price. And take my word for it, the use of that kind of spiritual powers is very widespread in Ghana. Did you know, for instance, that very few soccer teams in Ghana, from the coach level right up, take to the field without some spiritual ways and means? Did you know that some major buildings in Ghana were built only after the performance of some rituals, including burying a cow alive in the foundation? Did you know that some pastors also use these spiritual powers just for increased membership of their churches? And did you know that most politicians are compelled to ask for spiritual help and protection with their campaigns? A friend of mine was conned into standing as a presidential candidate for one of our major parties. He was an evangelical Christian who took his faith very seriously. But by the time the party's Congress came around, he had been compelled to visit several shrines in different regions. What happened was he would visit the region and the executives in the region would come to him and say, "Honorable, we got wind of what opposition had done against you spiritually. And so we went to the shrine to reverse it and ask for protection for you. We know you are not into this kind of thing, but since you are in town, we want you to just come with us and go and thank the fetish for helping you." Now, here's the problem. Those who fall on these powers of darkness only ask for trouble for themselves and for whoever they seek to help with that power. And this is one of the causes of the woes of Ghana. Most of our big men and leaders have passed somewhere for their victory and their rise to their current position. And once in that position, they cannot think straight because the source that paved the way for them is not straight. And that is the problem of Ghana. So, the next time you see any big man or any leader do something that you know he ought to know better, or something that you know that in his normal mind he will never do, find out where he passed before coming to occupy that position, and it will all make sense to you. Until Ghana allows God to be God and turn away from all these powers of darkness that can only destroy and kill and inflict pain, we can forget about progress and prosperity here in Ghana. And Mama V, that is my presentation.
Uncle, this is a whole conversation.
It is. And it's a conversation Ghana needs to have. Otherwise, we'll continue to have that kind of situation. So whenever any big man disappoints, because at my age, I happen to know a lot of our big men before they occupied the position. And you know, these were fantastic people. Some of the people occupying some positions, these are good people. Then they get there and you can't recognize them anymore. And now I'm beginning to ask, where did they pass? What rituals were done for them? What incisions were made in any part of their body? What black powder was smeared into that incisions? What kind of amulet or trinket do they have somewhere? What talisman have they been given? What powers did they resort to? And then once you get the answers to that, you can understand, you can't expect anything really good from that person.
Yeah. Uncle, well, thank you for drawing our attention to that because it simply doesn't make sense. Sometimes it doesn't add up that some fantastic person gets into public service and they don't add anything.
And you can't recognize them anymore.
Exactly.
Because, especially if you knew them before they got there, you wonder, is it the same person? Yeah, it's the same person, but go and look around his waist and see what is there.
Yeah. Uncle, this is indeed food for thought. Thank you.
Yeah. And have a fantastic week.
I wish you same. That's Uncle Whyte with Food for Thought today. It's brought to us by Roverman Productions. Be the difference. Uncle will be with us, God willing, on Thursday for another Food for Thought. Right now, though, it's exactly 8 a.m. Time for the Joy Business Minute. It's brought to us by Consolidated Bank Ghana CBG. We stand with you and McDonough.